All right, so today is the 29th, Tuesday the 29th. We're going to do, stop making this sound, babe. It's distracting, okay? Thank you. We have our warm-up that we're going to do. Okay, we didn't get to do the one from yesterday, so we're going to do it today. All right, and then we're going to practice solving quadratic functions. Remember, when you're solving a quadratic function, that means you're finding where it crosses the x-axis. We wrote notes on that yesterday, so today we're going to just practice, and tomorrow we'll start working on axis of symmetry and parts of a parabola, and so we can do word problems. Okay, we're almost at the end of this unit, so I need you to go back and study some things because you have your test next week. So please go back and study factoring. Make sure you understand completely how to factor. All right, if you have questions, we have tutoring tomorrow. Okay. All right, we already should be finished with the quiz. If not, I'm going to cut it off Friday, so please make sure that if you haven't done it, that you finish it for homework. Tuesday, I'm going to do a homework help video. It's super important that if you don't know what you're doing, that you watch the video. I would watch it anyway to get the correct answers. Do it first, do as many as you can, and then watch the video, because these are sample problems that you're going to see on your EOC at the end of the year. So it's super important that you know how to work them out. Okay. All right. Warm up says a tennis ball is dropped from a height of 10 feet. Each bounce is 64% of the previous bounce height. Determine the number of bounces it takes for the ball to have a height less than 3 feet. What kind of function is this? We know it's exponential, but is it exponential growth or decay? Decay. It's decay. What's the formula for exponential decay? Y is equal to what?
C parentheses 1 minus R to the x power.
Very good. What are we going to replace C with?
10.
10. We got 1 minus what? 0.64. Remember, 64% as a decimal. Locate the decimal and move it 2 times to the what?
To the left.
To the left. So this is going to be 0.64. Okay? And to the x power. Okay? Any questions about that?
No.
So now we want to know, we're going to type this in our calculator, and we're going to go to our table function to see what's the number of bounces when it gets under 3 feet. So where do we go to type in an equation?
Y equals.
All right, I'm going to clear my calculator, 2 plus 7, 1, 2. And I'm going to go to y equals and type in the equation. I have 10, parentheses. I could have simplified this. We got 1 minus 0.64. It would be. And then caret key, this is the exponent or caret key, x power. Now where do I go to view my function table?
Second graph.
Second graph. Okay, now I'm looking at my table values. At what bounce is it under 3?
2.
It's under 2. Very good. So second bounce. Number of bounces, 2.
2.
Okay. Let's look at this one. It says from Monday's problem, the first problem, okay, what is the height after 5 bounces? So we already typed it in. We're going to go down to the 5th bounce. Okay, what is that? Point what?
0.0664.
Okay. Any questions? So now let's simplify. The first things first, order of operations, we multiply, divide from left to right. So we're going to do division first because it came first from left to right. So we subtract these exponents. So this is a 9 minus a negative 5. And we bring this down. We're going to do one step at a time. What's 9 minus a negative 5?
14.
Very good. It's 14. Then we got times a to the negative 3. Now what do we do? If we're multiplying, what do we do with the exponents? Add them. So we got 14 plus a negative 3. What's 14 plus a negative 3?
11.
So it's a to the 11th power. Any questions about how we got that? Please do one step at a time. Don't try to do multiple steps at the same time. Okay? Anybody lost? All right. Let's do Tuesday. Right? Anybody still writing? I'm sorry. Okay. Write an equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. So the steps, the first step is to find the slope. My leg keeps breaking. I think I'm too hard on lead pencils. So we're going to find m first. So that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is linear. 2 points is automatically, bless you, 2 points will automatically make a straight line. That's how I know it's linear. So we label this is x1, y1, x2, y2. What are we going to put on the top?
2 minus 1.
Negative 5 minus 1. Y2 minus y1. What are we going to put on the bottom?
2 minus negative 4.
2 minus a negative 4. Excellent. On the top, what does that give us?
Negative 6.
Negative 6 and over 6. Positive 6. So what is this? Negative 6 divided by a positive 6 is what?
Negative 1.
It's negative 1 as my slope. So now I got to find B. What do I use to find B?
One of the points.
I use one of the points. Which one you want to use? The first or the second? I think the first one's good. They both are kind of easy, right? All right, so I use that, and what else to find B?
You plug it into y equals mx plus v.
You plug it into y equals mx plus v. Very good, Peyton. All right, since I'm using this point, what am I going to plug in for y?
Negative 4.
Mm.
No, 1.
1. What about m?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. X?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. And then I got plus b. So when I multiply this together, let me bring this down first. When I multiply this together, what do I get?
Negative 4.
Not negative 4. Positive 4. That's okay. Plus b. Negative times a negative is a positive. Now what am I going to do to get b by itself? I subtract 4. And what does that give me for b? That gives me b is equal to a negative 3. All right, so now I got my m and my b. How do I write the equation? Very good. This is my equation here. Any questions about that? Elimination method, I have not taught you yet, so let's not go there. That's next unit. All right, so let's simplify the following. We're going to use distributive property twice. We're going to multiply the 6a first. So we got 6a parentheses negative 2a squared minus 4. I feel like I'm running out of space. 4a minus 8. And then we got negative 6 times negative 2a squared minus 4a minus 8. Whew, made it work. Distributive property twice, okay? What's 6a times a negative 2a squared?
Negative 12a to the third.
Negative 12a to the third. Good job. What's 6a times a negative 4a?
Negative 24a squared.
Negative 24a squared. Good job. What's 6a times this negative 8?
Negative 48a.
Negative 48a. Okay. Let's do the second distributive property. What's negative 6 times a negative 2a squared? Positive 12a to the second. Good job. What's negative 6 times a negative 4a? 24a, positive 24a. And what's negative 6 times a negative 8?
Positive 48.
Positive 48. Great job. Now, this is where we combine like terms. The highest degree is to the third power. Is there another term like it?
No.
So we have negative 12a to the third power. The next highest degree is to the second power. Do we have any other second power?
Yes.
We got a to the second power here also, right? When we combine those, what do we get? Negative 12a to the second. Good job. The next is exponent of 1, right? That's the next degree. What does this give us?
24a.
That gives us positive or negative? Negative 24a. And then last is what? 48. Positive 48. Any questions? Sit up, Brian. Sit up, babe. You okay?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody still writing? You are. I'll pause. Please take out your notebook. I'm gonna pause. All right. So we should have our interactive notebook out. We're gonna go back to the page that we started from. Guys, remember, please don't wait till the last minute to review notes. That's why we write them. Remember that this is the standard form for quadratic functions. When you're solving a quadratic function, what that means is you're finding where your parabola, your U-shaped line, crosses the x-axis. Okay? The different ways that they say that, they may say solve the quadratic function. They may say find the x-intercepts. They may say find the roots or find zeros. They're asking you to do the exact same thing. Okay? It's nothing different. They just worded it different. Okay? Any questions about that? There are 3 types of answers that you can get. You're going to either get an answer that has 2 roots. You're going to get an answer that has 1 root, or they call it a double root. Or you're going to get an answer that doesn't have any roots at all. The thing that you need to make sure that you understand, if it becomes prime does not mean it didn't cross the x-axis. That just means that if it crossed the x-axis, it could be a decimal and not a whole number or an integer. So just because it says that it's prime does not mean that, oh, it didn't cross the x-axis. No, it just means that it's not an integer. The answer, it could cross at a decimal, like 5.6 or something like that. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, so we did an example yesterday. This is what the example looks like. Okay. We remember that if it crosses the x-axis, your y is always 0. So where you see y, you're going to plug in 0. To find your answer, you're going to factor it using what we learned about how to factor a trinomial. Okay? Always look for GCF first. Okay? After you find your factors, set each of your factors equal to 0 and solve for x, the x-intercepts. You can write your answer by listing your x values or by writing them as ordered pairs. Any questions about that? All right. Let's do the next example. Let's do number 3. We're looking at this sheet, the sheet that I gave you. It looks like this. We're going to do some practice problems. We should just start another page because that's a lot. So let's just do page 5, solving quadratic function practice. Solving quadratic functions, and we're just practicing. Okay? And we're going to do these problems. Some of them. I'm not going to do them all. But we're going to do a good bit of them. All right, let's do it. Number 1. I'm going to do some, and then you're going to do some. We got x squared minus 8x plus 16. They already put where y is 0. They already put that in for you. You can see it on this side, or you can see it on this side. How do I know by looking at this? Sit up, please. Guys, please sit up. How do I know by looking at this that this is a quadratic function? Yes.
The first
The x squared term tells us that this is a function, okay? So this, tells us that this is a quadratic function because of the x squared term. Without it, it would be linear. So you have to have the x squared term to make that loop back around, okay, or loop back up. All right, either upward parabola or downward parabola. No sideways parabolas because it wouldn't be a function. Okay, only upward and downward parabolas for quadratic functions. All right, so now we got to factor this. Look, this first number, this a is 1. So when a is 1, you know you're going to have two binomials and you're going to make a t-chart. Any questions about what Miss Reyes is saying? So what's this? Yes, baby, go ahead.
Wait, so what if, like, for example, what if it was a 5x squared?
We did one like that. Remember, those are different. You need to go back and look. And we did one where, you see, did one like that, where it's difference of squares. You're going to see that. We did ones like this. You see, where you do the sum factor, but you're breaking this down. You see that? And you do factor by grouping. And then in the end, it looks like this.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the ones that we're doing now is where you have two parentheses, two binomials. After you do your factor, you find the sum of the middle number, and that's what you put here. Do you see those?
Oh, yeah. That's...
I'll go back to my page. Okay. All right. So now, this back number, this last number is a positive 16. So you're going to look for numbers that can be multiplied to give you a positive 16. But when you add them, you get a sum of what?
-8.
-8, the middle number. Okay? All right. So in both parentheses, you got x squared here. So you're going to put an x here and an x here. So when you multiply, you get x squared. What two numbers can be multiplied to give me 16, but when you add them, you get a -8. Yes. -4 times -4. Good job, babe. When you add -4 plus -4, yes, you do get a -8. Good, Jacob. So you're going to use -4 and -4. Any questions about what I did? Bring down the equal sign, bring down the 0. They are both the same. Do you see that?
Yes.
This will be called a double root because you're going to get the same answer both times. This is a double root. You see how they're the same? So you're going to get the same answer twice. You got x minus 4 is equal to 0. X minus 4 is equal to 0. Any questions? So what are you going to... Yes, baby.
So this only works if a equals 1?
No. You will factor just like what he was doing. If a is equal to another number other than 1, we did it like this. We did factor by grouping.
The same thing, though?
Yes.
Okay.
And you do it the same way. After you factor it, you set these two equal to 0. Okay? And we're going to do something like that, okay? Did that answer your question?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to set each of these factors equal to 0 and solve. What do you do to solve for x here?
Add 4.
You add 4. And so what does that give you for x?
X is equal to 4.
Yeah, and you do the same thing. It's the same problem. Questions?
So that's okay.
So it's only really crossing at 4. Got it?
So after you find one and if they're the same.
Yeah, then you don't have to do the other one. I just wanted to show you why it's called a double root, even though it's crossing in the x-axis one time. Do you understand now? Is there anyone that's lost? All right, so I'm going to show you this in the calculator so you can see it. Are you ready? Is there anyone that's still copying? Everybody have their calculator? Please clear it. You have to do this with me to understand it. 2 plus 7, 1, 2. Super important that you understand this part. We're going to type this equation in the calculator. Where do we go to type in an equation? Y equals. The y is already there. So we're going to type in x squared. So we got x squared. Squared is right here. Squared is right here. And then we got minus, please type this in, 8x plus what?
16.
Okay, please raise your hand if you don't know how to type it in so I can help you. Raise your hand if you don't have it typed yet. You need time. Okay, I'm gonna give you time. Type it in, please. Let me pause. All right, so let's factor this and see. Okay, so look, this first number, first we look for GCF.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a greatest common factor for all three terms?
2.
Yes.
2. I said 2, that's right. So let's take out a 2. So when I take out a 2, 2 times what will give me 2n squared?
1 n squared.
Very good. 2 times what will give me a negative 18n? Negative 9 what? N. 2 times what will give me a positive 40? 20. And bring down the equal sign and the 0. Are y'all okay with that?
Yes.
Always do GCF first.
Is that the answer?
No, we're not finished. We got a factor. All right, so ignore this part and let's factor this trinomial. All right, so we got 2 parentheses in here. We got to make our T-chart. What are we going to put here?
20.
Positive 20. The sum has to be what?
Negative 9.
Negative 9. Any questions about this? What two numbers can be multiplied together to give me a positive 20, but when I add them, I get a negative 9?
Negative 5 and negative 4.
Negative 5 times negative 4. Very good, babe. So when I add negative 5 plus a negative 4, yes, that gives me a negative 9. Excellent. So here, I'm going to get, doesn't matter which one I write first, I can write minus 5 and then minus what?
Minus 4.
Okay. Bring down the 2. Now we finished factoring. Are you okay with that? Okay. So now we're going to set each of these factors equal to 0. So we got 2 is equal to 0. N minus 5 is equal to 0. And n minus 4 is equal to 0. Any questions about what Miss Reyes wrote? Nothing to solve here. This is not true. So that was, whatever. Now we solve n minus 5 equals 0. What do we do? Add 5 to both sides. And that gives me n is equal to what number?
5.
Are y'all okay?
Yes.
All right. What do we do to solve for n here?
Add 4.
Add 4. And what does that give us?
Negative 4.
It gives us n is equal to 4. So our answer here, we can list the x values. I'm going to put 4 first because it's smaller. So it should cross at 4 and 5. Or we can write it as ordered pairs. What's our ordered pairs?
4, 0.
4, 0,
And 5.
5, 0. Any questions?
So we just got rid of the 2.
Yeah, because it's not n, Questions? Let's type this in the calculator and see what we get, okay? We got y is equal to, clear this out, and we got 2x squared minus 18x plus 40, right? Now we're going to graph it. Okay. All right, so now let's look at C. You ready? What you say, baby?
18x plus 40.
It's this right here. Okay. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit.
Wait, how do you zoom in again?
Oh, well, it doesn't matter because guess what? It just zoom back out. I was trying to make it so I could see it up a little. Okay. That's about as close as it's going to get, I guess. Except for if I do, let's change my window. Let's go from -1 and let's go to 7 and see what that does. Okay, a little bit. I don't know. I try to get as close as I could, but it's not getting like I want it. All right, so now let's press second trace, and we're doing zeros again. All right, so we're going to do this side first. So we got our left side. I'm going to go a little closer to the line. So press enter here. And then we're going to go right under the line. I'm going to go right in here, somewhere under the line. And I know it's under the line because look, y is negative. So that's under the line. So press enter there. So I'm searching this side of the parabola first. And so that gives me enter. And do you see it gives me 4, 0. Do you see that at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one of our answers here. So now we need to do the other side of the parabola. So press the second. Any questions about that? I'm sorry. Go ahead, baby.
Why didn't it give us like a full answer?
It did. It gave us this one. We got to do it twice. The first time we only had one. This one we got 2 times. Okay. Do you see how it crosses the x-axis 2 times?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now let's look at it. Let's look at the next one. So press second trace again. Go down to 0. And let's do the other side this time. So left side, we're going to get under the line. Enter. And then we're going to go above the line. Enter. And then enter again. And you see how we get 5, 0.
Yeah.
If you're lost, just say you're lost and I'll do it again. All right. Okay, number 3. We have x squared minus 49 is equal to. This is a quadratic function because there's an x squared. It just doesn't have a b term, but it has an a term. So let's factor this. How would we factor this? There's no GCF, but what do we notice about both of these? Yes. They have a square root. Okay, so we got 2 parentheses. This is difference of squares. What are we going to put in each parenthesis? X in each. And what else? What's the square root of 49? 7. Okay, so 1 plus and 1's what? Negative. Okay, when we multiply 7, a positive 7 times a negative 7, that's the only way to get a negative 49. Any questions? Now set both of them equal to 0 and solve. So here we're going to subtract 7, and this gives me x is equal to what?
-7.
And here we're going to add 7, and this gives me x is equal to what?
7.
So we're going to list our answers. We got -7 and +7. What's the other way to write the answer?
-7, 0, and then negatives. No,
0. These are our roots. These are also called the x-intercepts, and it's also called our zeros. Any questions? Are y'all okay? All right, just one more. We leave 1 minute after, so we do one more. You all do one more. 3x squared minus the 75. GCF is always first. Please make sure you put your calculator back, okay?